Ineos is in trouble. Manchester United's rebuild is in serious jeopardy after an unexpected error by two men that we want so bad. One is already confirmed as the incoming CEO. The other is the one we're trying to poach from Newcastle United. Dan Ashworth sends a mail to the wrong email address, and this mail shouldn't have been sent in the first place. My name is Webb. This is the United of Sport. Welcome aboard. I'm here to break down for you this Dan Ashworth error that could jeopardize everything that Man United with Ineos are trying to do in the hope that the club will be rebuilt. Like, share, and of course, recommend people to watch this video. Now, listen, guys, this is my basic rule of life. Anything founded on dishonest grounds does not last. That is, for me, my unwritten rule of life. And I think it's the general rule of life. That's what people call karma. I believe it always comes back to you and it pains you. Now, here's the story. I'll give you a proper background to the story. What is happening right now is that it has emerged that from the Daily Mail, they have broken this story. It has emerged that Dan Ashworth, who was the sporting director of Newcastle United, who is now on a gardening leave, and United are trying to go into back and forth in talks with Newcastle United to give them £2.5 million to let him come and work. Newcastle say they want about 20 or 15 million pounds. So the valuation is so big between the two, and they are saying if you're not paying that money, wait for 2 years for him to be able to come. Now, this does not sit well with Man United and Ineos, and of course, we do want to get things happening so fast for us to progress with our rebuild. But here's the thing. It has emerged that back in February, before Dan Ashworth even made it known officially to Newcastle United that he had interest coming in from Man United and he wanted to go there, apparently, Dan Ashworth was sending mails to Omar Berada, who at that time had already started his gardening leave from Manchester City. Now, I'll explain to you what gardening leave is, but let me first break down the details in the email. The emails were revealing the terms, and this again is breach of contract. They were revealing the terms between him and Newcastle, and the terms between Newcastle, the terms that Brighton had with Newcastle to get him to Newcastle, but also his terms, personal terms with Newcastle, sharing them with Omar Berada, who was at that time just starting his gardening leave, to later come and join Manchester United from Manchester City. Now, that already is wrong. First of all, there is no business Omar Berada had working and exchanging emails on behalf of Man United while on gardening leave. It's illegal. That's why there is a gardening leave in the first place. He's not supposed to start working for his new company or new employer until the period of the gardening leave is done, which was announced to be, I think, July 13th. So that is one breach of rule. Two, Dan Ashworth was still contracted to Newcastle. He had not started his gardening leave with Newcastle, so meaning he was still the active sporting director of Newcastle. Now, that is a breach of contract, him working, revealing his, but also the confidentiality terms. So him revealing his, contract terms with Omar Berada, a third party, is illegal. Two, him already talking about, things outside the Newcastle work was illegal. That in itself was illegal. Now, what that is called in football it's called tapping. In sport, actually, there's a general tapping up rule that it means, basically what it means is you are not allowed as a club or as another employer, you're not allowed to talk to or try and coerce and interest an employee, a footballer or a sportsman of one club to come and join your club when they're still contracted to another club until the club gives you permission to talk to them. That's tapping up. Now, it's illegal, so that's again falling out of the law with the Premier League. So again, that's another case for them to answer. Now, you look at this whole situation because what Dan Ashworth did, he was trying to send mails to Omar Berada, but mistakenly he attached his personal company email, his Newcastle email, and that's how they were able to dig it. Because these emails, by the way, can be seen by the employer. The IT department can read the email you exchange on your company email with your with people. They can dig into your email to get what they want. So he did this, and it has been revealed now, meaning everything we've been trying to build, hoping that Dan Ashworth could come sooner than later, might be gone completely. Now, that is why I go back and I say, if this is how Ineos have been sliding, and I know how we celebrated, I was dancing here, when we signed Omar Berada and poached him for Man City, I was mocking the City guys, of course, for banter. But if this is how we slide, if this is how Ineos slides, honestly, I'll tell you, unfortunately, I will not trust their process. This rebuild will not work. Anything in life, it is the unwritten rule of life. Anything you start on dishonest, unfair grounds and principles will not last. It might give you short-lived success. And I know, I noticed that when Sir Jim Ratcliffe came in at Man United, he came with this pride and arrogance of the richest man in the UK who has been in the petroleum industry and all, and thinks he can come and bend the rules of football, because football, he forgets, is a different world. Football is protected. That's why your governments cannot infringe onto football matters. Football is in its own. They created their own world. That's where they swindle their money in there. They are protected. FIFA, Sepp Blatter will swindle so many billions of pounds, but he will serve a short fine and come back into football. Is protected. It has its own rules. So you can come from your oil-rich money with all the money in the oil, you think, and the arrogance from that side, and you think you can bring into football, and you'll be humbled. And I'm hoping Sir Jim Ratcliffe learns that. He was talking about how there are these funny rules in football that don't allow you, even if you want a guy, he's good, but he can't work because he's sitting in his garden for so many months because of the rules. It is unfair, it's wrong, that's not how the UK works. Well, this is not the UK. This is football. He has got to learn, and he's new to football, but he has got to learn. So if he thought he was going to come and of course, because of his influence, the richest man in the UK or richest man in Babylon, he can bend certain rules in his favor, but it won't change the fact. He can influence people to bend rules in his favor, but it won't. Even if they get out of this, and in the event that it's true, get out of it, and Ashworth joins Man United, I personally won't sit there and be too excited, because I will know that the success we shall enjoy with these people will be short-lived, because this is not how you succeed. Go back. History is, people forget so fast. People forget so fast. Go back and remember how Malcolm Glazer, the Glazer in chief, just bought his way to own Man United nearly 100%. How he came and forced his way and stealthily took over ownership of Man United. And you see, people are wondering why United is suffering now like we're a cursed team. Eric Ten Hag himself was saying this is unluck. He has never seen this. Casemiro has never seen a club having so many injuries in football. They are finding dead bodies. Man, let me tell you, karma is just karma. It's a bitch, like they say. It will always come back to you. Anything you start on dishonest grounds, that's why people are calling for Glazers out completely. Because they know they did rob so many people the wrong way when they were taking over. Their father was taking over this club. So things you start on wrong foundations will end up in a leaking Old Trafford. Even if you're the most mighty club of all clubs, things will go south for you at whichever point. This dishonest success does not last. It is short-lived, and I do hope people learn that. That's the unwritten rule of life. It's the rule of fairness. It's a basic principle of fairness in life. I think God, who I believe in, who created the world, who I know I believe created the world, created that to just create fairness, because he knows how unfair mankind can be, how our hearts can be as people. So he had to create certain fair, unwritten rules of life, because he gave us life in itself. So if this is how Ineos are sliding, much as I know how competent Dan Ashworth is and Omar Berada, I saw how Pep Guardiola was lamenting when we poached him, meaning perhaps because Sir Jim Ratcliffe said they had a very mature conversation with Man City. Probably they first spoke to Dan Ashworth and convinced him, then they went to Man City and forced them to accept, and of course maybe because of their pride, they said, okay, you take him. But I don't think they were exactly happy, because I would have, if they were happy, Pep Guardiola would have come out and wished Omar Berada well, genuinely. But you would see that the way it was done was filthy and disrespectful, and did not leave Man City happy. Let me tell you, we might succeed for a short time because of how good they are, but it won't be a long success. So it will be a case of us going from a terrible state with the Glazers to probably even worse, because you see, it's bad not to learn. You should learn from past experiences. People are trying to get to the gist of what the problem with United is, where the problem is. I will tell you that problem is deeply rooted. So if this is how Ineos are sliding, let's see how it unfolds. But may have given you my word for it. Anyway, that's the case with Dan Ashworth. My name is Webb. Like, share, and of course, recommend people to enjoy this video. Subscribe. I'll catch you later.